I'm like always trying to get things done quickly and try and do more multitask. When it comes to videos and doing all this other kind of stuff. And what was really profound about what you're saying in the book is that actually just by doing more, it doesn't mean that we're going to be fulfilled in the inside as well. So I think that for me was the reset, like we were talking about earlier. And I think the biggest thing I took away from the book, and now I start preaching it, because like that's what we do. We want to get a book and we start going around saying it. It was do you work to live or do you live to work?
Yeah.
And that just blew my mind because I mentioned to one of my friends and he goes, that's true, because you never meet somebody in a deathbed that said, I wish I spent more time in the office. Right? So are these like personal experiences as well that you've experienced in your life when it comes to these kind of concepts that you were sharing with people?
A lot of them. I mean, obviously, I've met lots of people. A lot of people I've spoke to them about problems in life and various things. I think one of the when a person is overindulging in something, sometimes there's an issue. So, for instance, if someone's doing a 12-hour day work, sometimes it's an avoidance, you know? Whereas from the outside, it might look like, oh my gosh, look how hard they're working. That's amazing, something like that. But I'm just currently trying to understand addiction. So I try to research some things around addiction. It's very, very surprising how some of those traits we've got them. When we say he's an addict to alcohol or gambling, but Gurbani talks about Maya mad, hai na? Maya is mad. It's a shrab. It's an intoxication, and it's our intoxication to that thing. That's really equates. It's the same as someone who's an alcoholic, for instance, hai na? And sometimes when you see people who are overindulging in work, sometimes it's because they're avoiding some reality. Sometimes people drink because it's a coping mechanism, for dealing with something that they want to avoid. Sometimes it's a numbness, it's a taking you out of that environment and all that kind of thing. So when I say about slowing down, why are we working? Why are we doing it? There's a rat race out there as well. The sick can easily get caught up in that thing too, because, from my experience, sometimes we set our goals really high. And then when you can spend many, many years trying to reach that thing. And then if I really asked you, do you really need it? You might sit down and say, well, probably not. But you've spent 45, 50, 60 years doing it. And then you're going to carry on and say, then you can say, my grandchildren. It doesn't end. That thing doesn't end. So how much do you need? What do you need? And when I say, living to work or working to live, it's, those two things, I think we generally, one of the things that I was talking to, I did a couple of lectures on why am I here as well, but we've got all our things upside down. Our main priority is wealth. Yeah. And then underneath that, it might be our reputation, it might be our family, it might be, then right on this other lowest scale over here is our soul, Atma, Ji. What with that, we don't really give that the same amount of intensity, if you like, as we do those other things. And that's what Gurbani talks about, Bhai Gurdashi talks about many things, is the intensity that we give to the false thing. We don't do the same thing to Gurbani. Like the intensity, look at a parai istri or another woman, we don't, our eyes aren't focused on saying darshan, darshan, darshan. And the intensity we use our ears to do nindya. They're not the same as when we say, oh, Gurbani Kirtan, Guruji bol diya, Guruji bol rahe hai. And when we say nindya, we say a lie, we say that with a lot of ras. But we won't use that same intensity when we're saying Guru da Shabd. Guru Shabd or Kirtan hove, part hove, whatever. We don't use that intensity. So that's what, that blinds us. And then we're not doing, if we aren't using that intensity, but we do a lot of intensity for our work. So now it's about reflecting, saying, how much time am I really and there's nothing wrong, everybody should work, by the way.
I was about to quit my job.
But everybody needs to work. But it's like when you're at work, there's many things that you can do to stay connected. You know, there's a chapter on staying connected. You know, like you're going to the toilet. You're going to the toilet, you could do, you're wasting time, you know?
Yeah.
You can use that time. You're going, lunchtime. Walk to work. I used to walk to my work and my stairs. I used to have these stairs. I went there for 17 years, you know? But when I hit the stairs, it's just simmering.
Yeah.
Then you just do simmer when you hit the stairs. I know it doesn't matter. So after a bit, that becomes routine. You know, coming out the car, going in the car, sitting in the car, listening in the car. All those things they're time wasting things that you can utilize. So
we've got a lot of time based in the day, right? That we're not utilizing effectively.
Yeah, and then when you look at somebody at work, what do you see? Huh? Do you see a muruk, or do you see someone? Do you see Vaheguru Jot? And there's these avastas that we've got to get through. You know, there's levels of spirituality, like we say, and some elements of Gurbani. You can't tell somebody who's kind of connected to the home or meh a lot about some of the messages because they won't understand. Like if I say to you, God controls everything, they'll be like, whoa, man, that's just nah. But what Guru's saying is we go from this level of home to a level of bisamadhi where we're kind of wonderstruck by God, but we still don't understand God. And there's this Sajavasta that's higher that's saying you actually have a connection with God. You understand God's close. No, you can have that. Not to say you understand the limits of God, but you understand God. You know, that's why Atma becomes ik with God. So, but what we've got to move from is this home thing where it's all kind of about me, isn't it? We're working for me, you know, and everything's. But we've got to move away from that and start seeing God at play. That's a could be regarded as a higher state, you know, a higher state than I'm talking in respect of. But it's to say when I see somebody, how is God making this person, work? You know, we read Visamad, Sanjog, Visamad, Vijog, Visamad book. What God is making everyone playing games.
Yeah,
it's a game, you know. It's playing games with everybody, and so you could even your work when you're sitting with people. It's like what depends how you interact with them, whether you make so. Sikhi can be expanded relatively quickly in terms of what you do daily. It could be. It isn't just about Nitnem or something like that. Huh? There's a, Pichal Rati, Bhai Gurdas is Pichal Rati Jagana. You know why we wake up in the Amrit Villa and see Utte Naam Dan Ishnan Dridai, you know? The Drid Hundiyan Chija, they get implanted at that time. First thing is Naam, God's presence, you know? Dan, where you become a hirda, your heart becomes softened, you know? And Ishnan is cleanliness, not just physical. It's like to try and remain nirlep or clean from Maya. But that happens at Amrit Villa first. You have to reset it every Amrit Villa.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out the full podcast on our second channel, BOS TV.
And don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Let's get it to 10K subs.